0530 UTC. We left the room. We were certain we were on the bottom floor. Now we'd be able to match up where we were to the map. So focused were we on our cartography that we almost bumped head-on into a patrol coming to check out the mysterious call placed from the conference room. We and the 6 guards yelped in surprise, then a firefight erupted. Steph and I aren't exactly athletic people, but our physiology gives us a bit more mobility than theirs did. We managed to triumph over them, but our streak of good luck had run out. I took a hit to my left leg on the side just below the hip, and it hurt. A lot. We managed to ration off the medkit supplies and only use about half of the bandaging. Trying to figure out which pills were the painkillers would be like playing Russian roulette with all of the chambers full, and banking on alien meds even working or being safe for human consumption would be like using incendiary ammo. So I, in my low pain tolerance, had to power through it. My watch was showing close to 1 o'clock Eastern. I hoped that as bedtime passed, it wouldn't compound with blood loss to knock me out. Adrenaline only goes so far before reality sets in, and you realize that you are a video editor and part-time game store clerk who sits or stands behind desks all day, and is definitely not what you would call in shape. And that's when Steph slapped me to bring me back to the here and now. Atta girl, no existential quandaries here. I kept responsibility of the map progress in the rear guard while Steph took point. We progressed slowly, and she managed to get the jump on a solitary alien walking the halls. Steph missed on her first shot, but then the alien did a peculiar thing. It rolled over onto its back while looking at us and making a strange noise, well, stranger than its language normally sounded. She hesitated, and I looked forward at it, swiveling between it and the hallway behind us. Satisfied that this wasn't a trick of some sort, I kicked open the door to a room we just cleared and motioned it inside. I think it took a few moments before my hand signals made sense to it, but it rolled back to its feet and slowly shuffled into the room. He's unarmed, Steph noted. Interrogate or just leave him in there? You do know that he's dying either way, right, if we manage to blow this thing up? She hesitated a moment, then nodded. Let's keep an eye out for escape pods. Alright. I peeked into the room. We're going to blow this up, I said, pointing first to ourselves, gesturing to the ship around us, and then making an exploding motion. I felt silly doing it, but I repeated the motion with an explosion noise afterward. It seemed to get the point across. If you help us, we will let you live. Do you understand? I tried to think of hand motions to go with that, but gave up. To my astonishment, the alien managed a very garbled sounding "Yes." You know our language? Little. A little, I gathered. Your grammar must be tougher. What are you? Science person. All of you, I gestured expansively. What are all of you? Kren'tavun. I spell it here with an apostrophe, but it might have been kren-tavun, or even a space, 2 words. I didn't exactly spell it out. Why are you here? You. It struggled, then used one of its 4 claws to mime my ushering motion from earlier. I growled, letting the pain from my leg bleed through to fuel my anger, then grabbed my cell phone from my pocket. All of you, I repeated, and brought up a picture I'd taken of Earth. Why are you here? Research. I growled again, and Steph said, researching what? What we do when you attack us? The alien waited a moment before replying, agonizing over the unfamiliar language. Then, yes, new home needs. Good yours. Oh, so that's why we could breathe their air. They came to us for the same reason. Good thing, too, considering I hadn't even thought of it until that moment. Knows if you fight needs. The grammar was getting muddy. You need a new home, and you needed to know if we would fight back, I clarified. Yes. We will. There are millions, billions of people on that planet far more capable than me. We fight each other a lot, and that sucks, but it means that we know how to fight. Fight to protect our home and our ways, and you can rest assured that as soon as you've shown your head, all of these people will destroy you. There was no way it got all of that, but I think enough got through. It was shaking and looked ready to roll onto its back again. We should go, Steph said quietly. I took a deep breath. Can you get back to your people? No, not this ship, but... I went to a picture I'd taken of empty space. Out there, away from here, Yes, escape can. Then tell your people to get to escape pods, lifeboats, a smaller craft to leave and go home. No can. This ship's space travel only. This ship is going to be destroyed. That will be a clear message that you do not fuck with us, Boater. I know. I looked at the switch on the inside of the door, wondering if I should break it. Finally, I slowly said, "Get to an escape pod. If you come down peacefully, nicely, I cannot promise that you will be safe, but it is a chance that is better than no chance at all." I turned and limped out of the room, Steph coming up behind. Waste enough time in there? Like I said, we're blowing this thing. I figure if there are more civilians, they don't deserve to die, especially if he was telling the truth. And if he warns them that we're going to destroy the only ship that can get them back home, then we better hurry. 0600 UTC. We continued around the perimeter hallway of the ship, finally making our way towards the rear. We started out on the port side and were towards the front when we found the tablet, so we'd almost performed a full circuit of the thing. 2 more guards were stationed outside a large door. We took them out, then faced the door itself. I hit the pressure plate. It flashed green at me. Great. Steph and I hefted one of the guards over, but its foreclaw also returned the negative green. The second guard, same story. Damn. Steph leaned back against the door to think. Okay, security system. We need to find someone with access. Our scientist friend? Probably not. He probably already left the room, and I think he was a civilian, not engineering. They probably raised the alert level when they found out we were on board. Okay, so who would have access to the most vital area of the ship in case of a lockdown? Captain, Steph said immediately. Probably chief engineer. Nobody else could get in without a direct escort from someone who knew that they were supposed to be there. Head security officer, too. I scratched my head with a corner of the tablet. I wouldn't want to try to take him on, whatever. Or the captain, for that matter. Which leaves the head engineer. She thunked her head back against the door. Who's probably in there? Man, can't we just look for a red keycard and skip this whole mess? Okay, plan B. I paused. Do we have a plan B? Deactivate the lockdown. She stared at the floor for a moment in thought. Security room! Yes, I exclaimed. Which would also be locked down. It was Steph's turn to growl angrily. Well, we have to try something. I looked up at the ceiling in frustration, letting my eyes play over the patterns, when my jaw dropped. Steph? What? Air ducts. No. Why? Because we don't have a rope. I walked over to the wall. The ceilings were fairly high for the aliens, but for us they were reachable at 10 feet high. Give me a boost, I said. The pain in my leg forgotten, I pushed and pulled at the circular cover. Finally it popped off, hitting me in the head in the process, and I scrambled into it. I turned around and offered my hand out to Steph. She looked at me skeptically, but somehow we managed to both get in. Now what? Steph said. My face went blank. We get back out until we figure out which room is security, then hop in the air ducts over there. Steph smacked me upside the head, then jumped back out. It wasn't a graceful landing, but she managed it all right. I, on the other hand, with my bandaged leg, ended up rolling my left ankle too. Oh, joy, this day just kept getting better and better. I think it's elevator time, she said. If you're right and the command decks are higher, I think that's where we'd find the security room. We're banking on my knowledge of utterly alien psychology now? She nodded. Wunderbar. 0615 UTC. We found a bank of elevators in the center of the floor plan, encountering light resistance along the way. I'm going to test the switch on the gun, Steph said before we progressed. Good idea. She flipped the switch and tossed the firearm down the hallway we'd just come down, then turned back around the corner and stuck her fingers in her ears. I followed suit, and the seconds ticked by. Finally, we looked at each other. Safety it is, then, she said, and turned back to the hallway, only to jump right back around as a purple flare slashed past where she'd been. She grabbed her spare pistol, and the two of us dove back around the corner, returning fire at the lone guard who'd been puzzling over the discarded pistol. It's kind of badass looking, I gotta say. We recovered the weapon and turned back to the lifts. 6 circular shafts ran the entire height of the ship. They were all decently large, enough to hold a couple of 6-person kren'tavun patrols. We picked one at random, hit the plate, and entered once the car reached us. We couldn't read the numbers any better than we could their writing, but fortunately 6 buttons with the bottom one illuminated is pretty intuitive. Okay, so where to? Steph asked me. She kept her gun trained on the door as I consulted our map. We've got 2 rooms on the top floor of equal size. Bridge and... no idea, I said, shaking my head. Barracks maybe, some sort of coordination room for forces on the ground. Okay, 5th floor? 1 really big room towards the front and a smaller room towards the back. I think bridge at the front of that one, actually, the huge room, and then the security station directly behind it. If someone had to take the bridge, then they'd have to go through security first, or they could respond immediately. Makes sense. Where does that leave for the top floor? Ooh, war room, probably. Captain's quarters, if they put priority on that kind of thing. Where are general quarters? Where the rest of the guys sleep? I thumbed through the floors. Does it matter? No, just want to see what we'd come up with. Somewhere on floors 2 through 4. There's probably also a med bay of sorts in there. And the bigger area on floor 4 might be holding cells. I paused for dramatic effect. Probably where we would have ended up. We'll have to make sure it's empty before destroying this thing. Good idea, let's get that out of the way first. We rode the elevator up and the doors side open, and we set out, map in hand. Looks like nobody's home, Steph said quietly. I think most of them already left the ship. I kept my gun trained on the elevators behind us as I followed Steph down the hallway. We also took out a fair few of them ourselves. Yeah. We explored the 4th floor relatively quickly, since it was smaller and we had a map to plan our search route, but it was still a half hour of our time being careful about it. We did indeed find what appeared to be living quarters, as well as the holding cells that we'd hypothesized. Thankfully they were empty, and I navigated us back to the elevator banks. Anything else before we hit the bridge, I said, bringing up my map again. Pertinent question, yes, but really I wanted to just keep playing with the tablet. I think I see the medical symbol on the 3rd floor. No, she said, we wasted enough time as it is. Alright, I said, shaking the tablet and raising the gun. Floor 5?